So a few weeks ago, I decided to try tissue culture plants for the first time. And I showed you guys as I started the acclimation process. So it's been a little bit of time, and today I want to give you guys an update. Talk about what went well, what surprised me, and if I do anything differently if I had to start all over. Hey guys, welcome back to Lay's Place. I'm Lay. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited about today's video, so let's not delay. Let's jump on in. Come on in, get comfortable, stay a while. I think you're gonna like it here. Let's get into these tissue cultures. Let's talk about these tissue cultures. So just as a reminder, and if you haven't seen the previous video where I first deflasked and started the acclimation process for the plantlets, check the cards. I'll make sure that I have it linked. So I purchased 2 Alocasia variegated tissue cultures. As a reminder, we've got the Alocasia Jacqueline variegated, and we also have the Alocasia Yucatan Princess. And so I will make sure to put the date that I recorded that first video and then today's date on here. But it's been a few weeks now. I only started with 2 plants, specifically 2 Alocasia plants, for a few reasons. First of all, Alocasias are a plant that I do enjoy growing, and I do think that I've gotten better at growing. But when you're talking about rare variegated Alocasias, it can get really pricey, and they are specifically a plant that I have a really hard time spending a lot of money on because I don't know how it's going to go. I actually typically buy corm because that feels like there's more in my control, as opposed to buying an established plant for hundreds of dollars just for it to go through a really, really tough transition, lose all of its leaves, and me possibly kill it. So starting with tissue cultures of a plant that I actually could see quite a bit of value from seemed like a good idea to me. And so I'm on a journey to see how I can continue to grow as many rare plants or just plants that are important to me, near and dear to my heart, while getting that cost down. So these seem like a really safe place to start. And spoiler alert, I think I might have met that goal at least a little bit. Stay tuned. So let's see how they're doing. So let's start with plant number 1. This is the Alocasia Jacqueline variegated. I am going to take this lid off. It's been, obviously, you can see quite a bit of condensation. It's been sitting in the cabinet. It has just this little bit of hole at the top, no other holes. I haven't been leaving it open. I've maybe opened it once or twice, but I really just kind of leave it alone. And it's been sitting under Barina lights. So I'm going to take the top off to show you guys, and then I'll put it back. So this is what we're working with. And actually that one right there, if you watch the first video, that's that leaf that was coming in during the deflasking process, and it didn't fail. So that's really exciting. So you see the leaves, we haven't lost any leaves or anything like that. But let's look around the cup. So you see the leaves, but I'll tell you what you're not going to see around this cup. You're not going to see a whole bunch of roots. That has not happened for this plant. There is one root in particular that I can see, but I'm not completely sure if it's even attached to the plant or if it's a happy growing root. So at some point I'll have to get in there and see what's happening. But so far the Jacqueline is not thriving, but it's also not dying. Like I said, no rotted leaves. I do think that one of the leaves was probably one of the older ones. It is starting to look a little yellow. If there's nothing happening with the plant that indicates that it is in distress, but also no indications that it's doing wonderfully. So there's that. Little bit of continued growth. I wouldn't really call it new growth. That leaf that was already there did continue to grow. It does have some good variegation on it. As far as the roots, there's nothing that we can see so far, but it's not dying. I guess nothing really surprised me about the Jacqueline. I don't remember everything that I said in the first video, but actually that's not true. I guess I am a little surprised. The Jacqueline was the one that had the strongest roots overall. And I'm wondering if maybe I should have cut some of those roots back But I was expecting it to really pop off with the roots. It also is the one that I did not apply anything additional to. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, again, make sure that you check out that video. But I just cleaned it, did the process, and I potted it up. Nothing extra. So I guess I'm a little surprised that I'm not seeing more roots. But there is a part of me that's like, yeah, I considered it, but I wanted to make sure that I treated that part specifically differently so that I could see if it impacted or caused any rot or anything like that. So I'm wondering if maybe I should have added some of the products, some of the mycorrhiza to the Jacqueline. So I guess I am a little surprised there. I will say is it definitely is clearly getting enough light. Like I said, that new leaf came in. It's not dying. I haven't watered it or anything, but you can again tell all the humidity, all the condensation that's around the container. So I know that I gave it enough liquid. And even from looking at the tree fern that it's in, it's still pretty moist. So I know we did okay there. It's getting enough humidity, even if there's just like a little bit, of airflow that can get in there. Again, it hasn't died, it hasn't melted, hasn't dried out, anything like that. So I feel okay in that regard. If and when I do this again, I think based on what I'm seeing, I would still use the tree fern. I'd still use these kind of containers. I'd still put in the same kind of light. And I actually feel good with the environment that I set up for the plant. If I did this again, I think the only thing that I would change is I would either trim those roots because they're obviously not tree fern roots, I guess. I don't know. I have to look more into that. Like if I had done it with fluval stratum or something like that, would it have been a little different? But I would definitely add the mycorrhiza. And I will have a little bit more data to support that when we talk about the next plant. But that's what I would do differently if I could try this again. So far, not a fail. I think that at some point I am going to get in there and see what's going on with the roots. But I don't feel like it's been long enough for me to intervene. So right now I'm going to hold off. Let's get into the other one. All right, guys. So let's move on to plant number 2, the Alocasia Yucatan Princess. So honestly, the experience with this one is significantly different than what I described as my experience with the Jacqueline. So let's get into it. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the top off. Wait until you see this. Like, be so for real right now. Beautiful. Not only did she end up keeping all of the leaves that were already there, she was able to continue pushing out the leaf that was starting. She's actually putting out a brand new leaf, if you can see that in there. So she is doing wonderful. And if I can show you guys, she's got roots. She's got roots for days. So yeah, new growth, check. Roots, check. She's doing pretty good. As far as setbacks, honestly, really none. I've already started pushing all of the tabs for the top down so that she can start to get some humidity. She's showing me that she's resilient, that she's growing well. So I'm not going to delay. We're going to get her moving so that she can continue to size up and ultimately get this dome off of her. So yeah, really no issues. Absolutely none. I think I was surprised by how vigorous the root growth was because she had maybe one little root because I removed everything that looked mushy, like it wouldn't serve her. So even though I did add a little bit of myco, I was not expecting her to take off like that. If anything, I thought that she was going to struggle the most, which is why I added the myco to begin with. So that really shocked me and surprised me. And I think also just how quickly she has put out new leaves and how stable the variegation appears. Like, are you kidding me? Like, she's going to be gorgeous. And her genes are immaculate. So honestly, it makes me wish that I had bought multiple of her because, again, be so for real. be so serious. And then I did the same thing with her. She was in the cabinet, Barina lights, 14 hours a day, no extra watering, same amount of 99.9% humidity. But in this past week, she's already come down. I would say she's probably in about 75 to 80% humidity. The cabinet's already about 70 to 80, depending on if I'm keeping everything watered. And then, of course, she has this dome on. So not quite 100%. But yeah, I've started stepping her down because look at those roots. I mean, and that's just the bottom. She has roots all the way around. So I'm not going to delay with her. And I really like the cup. Again, same thing. It gives her room to grow. And then I also love being able to push the tabs down to offer a little more airflow and lower that humidity so that she can start that acclimation process. So I love these cups as vessels to acclimate the tissue cultures, and I would absolutely do it again. If I did this again, honestly, the same thing I said about the Alocasia Jacqueline, I would do it exactly like this. I would use tree fern, I would use mycorrhiza, hands down, put it in there, same kind of dome situation under those lights, and just let it do its thing. So I wouldn't do anything different that I did to this, but I would do the Jacqueline the same way that I did this plant. So yeah, guys, this was an amazing first time, not just because I have one plant in particular that's doing so well, but I think also because I can compare what I did with one plant with the others and kind of compare the results. So I will absolutely be trying more tissue cultures. I wouldn't say that I'm a pro or anything like that, but I definitely feel more confident. But thanks, guys. Comment, like, consider subscribing, share with someone. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.